Good morning, everyone. If you're watching this video, it means that you're either on your last day of remote teaching for your first week or you've survived the week and it's now Monday. So congratulations to all of you. You did a nice job. Today we're going to be working again with our right triangles because our whole unit 4, is on working with right triangles. Last class, I had you guys do an algebra review on Edpuzzle of simplifying radicals and rationalizing denominators, and you'll see today why we needed to review that skill. Today what we're going to do, we're going to discuss two very special right triangles. They have special properties that you will see once you get into Algebra 2. If you continue on to pre-calc and calculus, you will see them a lot. And their importance in pre-calc especially and the world of trigonometry is insane. It's crazy how much you will use these throughout the rest of your math classes. Whether you take Algebra 2, like I said, go to pre-calc calculus, you will use them a lot. So this lesson is very, very, very important. Okay, we're going to use these special right triangles, and we've got two of them. We have 30, 60, 90, and 45, 45, 90. And those numbers are angle measures. Okay, those numbers are angle measures. And we're going to use some special relationships of the sides of these triangles in order to find missing sides in the rest of the triangle. So with that being said, let's get started. Okay, so here we have our two special right triangles. They're very, very special to us. We love them. They are great. Okay, this one over here, this first one is our 45, 45, 90. All right, it is a right triangle with two congruent angles. Now, remember, if we have two angles that are congruent, that means we also have two sides that are congruent. So in this special right triangle, the two legs are congruent to each other. All right, so if one of my legs was 4, the other leg would be 4. In order to find the hypotenuse, we're just going to take one of those legs and multiply it by the square root of 2. Okay, we're going to take one of those legs and multiply it by the square root of 2. Okay, so we have the leg, and then the leg times root 2 is equal to the hypotenuse. And that's our 45, 45, 90. In our 30, 60, 90... In our 30, 60, 90, we have the short side. Okay, so this one's called the short side. The short leg, it's the shortest leg in the triangle. And the shortest leg is always across from the smallest angle. Okay, then we have the long leg, which is always across from the 60-degree angle. And that is equal to the short times root 3. And then last but not least, we've got our hypotenuse, which is always across from the 90-degree angle, and that is equal to the short leg times 2. So it's important to note in the 30, 60, 90, everything is based off of the short leg. It's really important that we know what the short leg, and we continue to use the short leg in order to find our other missing sides. Okay, everything's based off the short leg. So we've got a 40, 45, 45, 45, 90, which is also known as an isosceles right triangle. So any right triangle that's isosceles is going to be a 45, 45, 90, and that's pretty important. So let's kind of highlight this a little bit. Okay, it's always going to be an isosceles right. We don't have a special name for the 30, 60, 90. We just call it a 30, 60, 90, and that's fine. Okay, so we're going to use these properties to do these example problems. And then you guys are going to try some on your own, and you can check them on this video. Okay, so let's take a look at this first one here. Solve for x and y. So first of all, I see that we have a 45-degree angle, and we have a right angle. So this has to be a 45, 45, 90. If one of our angles is 90 and one of our angles is 45, we can automatically label the other one as 45. So remember, the two legs are congruent to each other. Okay, so we could find x or y, and then we'll be able to find the other one. The two legs are congruent to each other. And the hypotenuse is equal to the leg times the square root of 2. Okay, the hypotenuse is equal to the leg times the square root of 2. Now, we already know what the hypotenuse is. The hypotenuse is root 10. And I know that that root 10 is equal to the leg times root 2. Okay, so now all I have to do to figure out what x and y are, I just have to divide both sides. I'm just solving for the L. We're isolating the L like any equation. Divide by root 2. Okay, now a radical, you could divide a radical by a radical. So root 10 divided by root 2 is root 5 is equal to L. And since x and y are both the same and they're both equal to the leg, my final answer would be that x is equal to root 5 and y is equal to root 5. Okay? Again, I just want to reiterate, the reason we divided by root 2 is because we're setting our hypotenuse equal to the leg times root 2, and then you just isolate the variable. Okay? Let's take a look at our next example. So our next example, we have a 30, 60, 90. So I know it's a 30, 60, 90 because I have my right angle, I have my 60 degrees, and then this one has to be 30. Okay, so we've got a 30, 60, 90 in this case. All right. So now I always go through, I label my short side S, my long side S root 3, and my hypotenuse 2S. So I'm going to label my short side, which is always across from my 30-degree angle, S. My long side is always across from my 60-degree angle, S root 3. And then my hypotenuse is always across from my right angle, which is 2S. Okay, so you will notice that what we have a label on is this one right here. We know that 2S is equal to 38. So I have, again, my hypotenuse, my short leg, and my long leg. So now, since this is what we have labeled, this is what we are going to do. The hypotenuse, hypotenuse is equal to 2S. So now that's how we're going to solve over here. So I have 2S equals 38. I divide by 2, and I get S equals 19. So that's part 1. My short leg is 19. So X equals 19. All right. Now, we're not done because I need to find Y, which is my long leg. And I know that Y is equal to S times root 3, okay, which is my short leg times root 3. So Y is equal to X times root 3. And I just figured out that X was 19, so Y is equal to 19 times root 3. And then we just leave our answer like that. You don't multiply it out. You don't put it in the calculator. You don't round to the nearest decimal place. You literally just leave it like that. All right? Okay, let's move on to the next example here. We've got another 30, 60, 90. So I've got 90 degrees, I've got 30 degrees, and now I also have 60. So again, my short leg is over here, my long leg is across from 60, and my hypotenuse is across from the right angle. All right, so right now, I know that my long leg is equal to the short leg times root 3. I know what my long leg is. My long leg is 15 root 3, which is equal to S times root 3. Now to get S by itself, we divide by root 3. Boop. They conveniently both cancel out, and we get S equals 15. So my short leg is 15. With this 30, 60, 90s, if you don't have the short leg, that's always the first thing you have to find because everything in the triangle is based off of the short leg. Now that we have that, we could find our Y by subbing in 15 for 2S. So I know that my Y is equal to 2 times S. Therefore, it's equal to 2 times 15. So my hypotenuse, Y, is equal to 30. Okay? All right, so that's the gist of our special right triangles here. Everyone's going to be a little bit different, so you really have to be careful about solving them. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go through the answers to some of these practice problems. I'm not going to go through every single one because then the video would be really long, but I'm going to go through some of them. And I want you guys to try them and check your work. So I'll go through a couple on the video. You guys can keep working on these ones that are on the video. And then after I go through a few, I want you to try the rest and check your work with the answer key posted online. All right, so here's some of the examples that I want to go over. We're going to do, let's just go through, we'll do the odds. And then you guys could try the evens. Okay. So number one, we've got a 45, 45, 90. So again, I'm going to go through and I'm going to label L root 2. Okay, so I have my leg. I have that my leg is 2 root 2. Therefore, my other leg is also 2 root 2, because remember, these are the same. So B is equal to 2 times root 2. Now, in order to find A, it's equal to my leg times root 2. My leg is 2 root 2. So A equals L root 2. It's equal to my leg, which I already know is 2 root 2 times root 2. Now, here's a little trick. Whenever you're multiplying a square root by itself, the square root cancels out. So, for example, if we were to take root 3 and multiply it by root 3, that would be equal to the square root of 9, which conveniently is 3. So again, whenever you multiply a square root by itself, the square root just kind of cancels out and disappears. All right, let me erase that. Okay, so back to our problem over here. Just to refresh what we did, we're taking our leg, which we already know to be 2 root 2, and we're multiplying it by root 2. Therefore, this becomes our 2, and then root 2 times root 2 becomes another 2, which makes this 4. Therefore, my A value is 4. Okay? All right, first example. Next one, we're still working with a 45, 45, 90. So I've got leg root 2. Okay, and again, I know that my legs, are congruent. So I already know that my y value is 3 root 2 divided by 2. Okay, now in order to find my other value, which is my hypotenuse, I have the leg. I need to take my leg and multiply it by root 2. So I need to take 3 root 2 over 2. Let me give myself a little bit more room here. I need to take 3 root 2 over 2 and multiply it by root 2. Now, remember, the 3 over 2 kind of is going to stay, or let's multiply out our square roots first. Root 2 times root 2 becomes just a regular 2. So I have 3 times 2 over 2. And guess what? Those 2's cancel out. So I get x is equal to 3. All right, moving along to number 5. Still a 45, 45, 90. So we've got leg root 2. So I have my hypotenuse now. And I know that 6 is equal to my leg times root 2. So now I'm going to divide both sides by root 2. And here's where the information or the practice from last class comes into play. My leg is equal to 6 over root 2, but we don't like that. We don't like having a radical on the bottom. We have to rationalize it. So I'm going to multiply by root 2 over root 2. This becomes 6 root 2 over 2, which is 3 root 2. So x and y are both equal to 3 root 2. Because again, they're the legs, they are congruent. Okay, so those were all different examples on 45, 45, 90s. Now, 30, 60, 90s. Okay, 30, 60, 90s. We have got 30, 60, and 90. So 30 is across from the short leg, 60 is across from the long leg, which is S root 3, and then our hypotenuse is 2S. So I have that 2S is equal to 16. Again, if you don't have the short leg, that's always the first thing you find. So I have my short leg is equal to 8. So y equals 8. Now, in order to find x, it's just the short leg times root 3. So x is equal to 8 root 3. Okay. Moving on to the next page. Let me zoom in on this a little bit. All right. So 3 more examples, and then you guys are going to try some on your own. Number 9, 30, 60, 90. So 30, 60, 90. We've got our short leg. We've got our long leg, which is S root 3. And then we have our hypotenuse, which is 2S. So this one's not bad because I have my short leg. So that makes the world a lot easier. Because now in order to get my long leg, it's just my short leg times root 3. In order to get my hypotenuse, it's just my short leg. So u equals 2 times my short leg, which would be 16. That one was not bad at all. All right, number 11. We've got S root 3, 2S. So remember, if you don't have the short, that's the first thing you find. So our short leg, S root 3, our long leg, S root 3, is equal to 5 root 3. Now, this is nice because you'll notice we divide both sides by root 3 to get S by itself, and we get that S equals 5. Okay, so that means Y is 5. And then in order to get X, we just multiply 2 by our short leg, which is 10. All right, and last example here. Oh, this is a 45, 45, 90. I don't know why this one's down here, but we'll just do it anyway. Okay, so we've got 45, 45, 90. My legs are congruent. And we have leg root 2. So leg root 2 is equal to 8 root 2. Divide both sides by root 2 to get the leg by itself. I get L equals 8. So U equals 8 and V equals 8. Okay? All right. So what I want you guys to do now is I want you to try all of the evens. The answers are actually posted directly on the assignment tab with the rest of the practice problems. And yeah, so you guys can just check your work, and then you're going to do the Google form for your exit ticket, and you're going to do quizzes for homework. The quizzes has as many tries as you want, so you could keep doing it until you're happy with your score. As always, if you guys have any questions, please let me know. I know there were some issues with Edpuzzle yesterday, and I think I know why there were some issues with Edpuzzle yesterday, so next time we do Edpuzzle, hopefully I'll be able to fix that little kink that was wrong. But the rest of the stuff today, quizzes, Google Forms, you guys should be good to go. We've used all of those platforms before. Like I said, if you have any questions, just comment directly on the assignment tab. You could leave me a private comment. You could comment on the assignment. You could send me an email. Does not matter. And yeah, I will not see you guys, but I will chat with you sometime today or sometime on Monday. Have a good weekend. Oh, also, you have a quiz. I posted all of the information on Classroom, so this weekend you're going to work on your quiz review. But again, all the information's on Google Classroom, so if I don't chat with you before then, have a good weekend, get ready for your quiz on Monday, and good luck with the rest of your Friday.